The European Learner Mobility Landscape. In this video you will be introduced to standards for the European learner mobility landscape. The enhancement of learner mobility and employability undoubtedly remains a high priority action item within the European education area. The Council of Europe, the European Commission and many European states and civil society organizations have long fostered initiatives and strategies to enhance the mobility of young people. The prevailing notion of such initiatives is that the process of economic and political integration in Europe will indeed remain fragmentary and unstable without accompanying social and educational measures. Instead of a Europe with non-transparent bureaucratic institutions, a Europe of citizens was meant to develop, wherein people would get to know each other, appreciate their mutual cultural differences and, at the same time, form a European identity by saying yes to core European values. As such, mobility is considered important for personal development, contributing to employability and thus social inclusion. Mobility is also important since it is considered to enhance intercultural competences and to contribute to the development of participation and active citizenship. As defined by the European Platform on Learning Mobility in the Youth Field, learning mobility is about transnational mobility undertaken for a period of time consciously organized for educational purposes or to acquire new competences or knowledge. It covers a wide variety of projects and activities and can be implemented in formal or non-formal settings. Learning mobility is a powerful learning experience, where an individual moves from his or her everyday context and has to open up and adapt. It is a great way to develop social, intercultural and interpersonal competences for life and to promote a sense of common European belonging. It is also important to develop one's employability, and there are many researchers showing these various positive outcomes. Over the last 20 years Europe has developed a number of strategies, frameworks and tools to facilitate learning mobility in education and training. They are widely adopted and can be thus considered as policy standards for European learner mobility, aiming to develop a better understanding of qualifications and competences in Europe, and to increase the mobility of people. Increase awareness of and access to transparency instruments amongst learners, teachers, trainers, employers and admission staff of educational institutions. Improve the communication impact of the transparency instruments. Improve information on issues related to transparency and mobility. Inspire the development of additional transparency instruments. Policy standards for European learner mobility include the European Qualifications Framework for Lifelong Learning, the European Credit Transfer and Accumulation System, the Europass Framework, the European Credit System for Vocational Education and Training, the European Quality Assurance Reference Framework for Vocational Education and Training, etc. This slide shows an excerpt of the European Qualifications Framework for Lifelong Learning, which helps in comparing national qualification systems, frameworks and their levels. EQF aims to make qualifications more readable and understandable across different countries and systems in Europe. The Europass framework and tools help in the transparent and comparable representation of qualifications, skills and competences. Europass is actually a collection of 5 documents which make people's skills and qualifications clearly and easily understood in Europe. 2 of these documents contain learner-owned information. The Curriculum Vitae, which helps people present their skills and qualifications effectively and clearly. The Language Passport, which is a self-assessment tool for language skills and qualifications. Learners can create their CVs and language passports online through the Europass platform. The other 3 documents are issued by education and training authorities. The Europass Mobility, which records the knowledge and skills acquired in another European country. The Certificate Supplement, which describes the knowledge and skills acquired by holders of vocational education and training certificates, and the Diploma Supplement, which describes the knowledge and skills acquired by holders of higher education degrees. Apart from providing standardized information structures, ELM policies signal the way ahead towards a harmonized European solution for the creation of a network of interoperable information systems to facilitate recording, submission and exchange of information among the interoperating parts. These systems target the provision of a new generation of upgraded services on job and learning opportunity exploration to the European educational and labor space. Towards this goal, the development and consolidation of technical interoperability standards is an essential basis for European learner mobility information systems. Eventually, the European learner mobility landscape needs to exploit several policy and technology standards for the support of emerging practice, including new mobility schemes, transnational programs of study, interinstitutional cooperation, exchanges between institutions and employers, advanced learner personal organization and development, e-portfolio tools and documents, etc. The figure in this slide attempts a representation of the landscape involving the core stakeholders, the desired services, the emerging information and the corresponding standards required to achieve a harmonized, interoperable, European solution. The European Learner Mobility Achievement Information Standard is one of the important interoperability instruments designed for capturing and conveying achievement information within the European higher education area. Its information model provides the means for the recording and exchange of information related to learner mobility. It is developed as a lightweight, easy-to-implement standard taking into consideration existing and emerging educational practice processes and the relevant European policies. More specifically, the EuroLMAI standard aspires to contribute to the consolidation and European-wide adoption of electronic transparency documents, support the development of information systems for the implementation of the Bologna process, at institutional, national and European levels. Support learner mobility and quality assurance in the European educational setting. Support the wider availability of brokerage services across the EU. Enable data consistency and facilitate data quality management and to ensure a rapid uptake by stakeholders of learning, education and training throughout Europe, higher education institutions, learners, employers, service providers, etc. The EuroLMAI model is concerned with specific sets of learner achievement information arising from the different administrative processes carried out at the institutions throughout the implementation of educational practice, as well as with the associations amongst them. These include information about the learner currently or formerly enrolled in a formal learning opportunity, information about the issuer of the report, information about the learning opportunity the learner has taken, any associated results obtained, and the qualification possibly achieved, information about the components studied as well as the result and credits in those components, and other achievement information. To be clear about the meaning and significance of learner mobility information, it is essential to understand the processes and practices in the context of which the information arises, that is the educational practice that generates the information, some of which is gathered together in mobility documents. The conceptual model of educational practice relevant to learner mobility illustrates the rough division of the subject matter into three distinctive parts: learning opportunity provision, award of credit or qualification, and assessment. Between these parts sits the learner's actions, and their results as evidence, which provide the basis for the rest of the system. The process of learner action is shown as an oval, while a rounded rectangle models enduring objects, both the learner and the material evidence, as things in the world that are caused or produced by learner action. Intended learning outcomes act as the proper bridge between learning opportunity provision and assessment. Without this bridge, the connections are more tenuous. All processes are here shown as ovals. The learning opportunity instance is the course in which organized or formal learning takes place. This involves some action by the learner. The assessment process also requires learner action. The assessment process assesses the evidence, and produces assessment results. In the awarding process, those results are used as the basis for awarding credit or qualifications. 3 more social entities appear at this level, that is the organizations responsible for the 3 organized processes. These are also given a green background. The above-mentioned model provides the basis for the definition of a broad-reaching Euro-MAI model, under the condition of existence of the constituent standardized models for the representation of each of the entities taking part into the educational practice. The Euro-MAI domain model defines the assemblage pattern of the information emerging from the processes of the educational practice described in the previous slide. The Euro-MAI standard focuses mainly on the learning opportunity provision and the information required in terms of an achievement report configuration, consisting of a learner instance, representing the individual enrolled in a formal learning opportunity, part or full program of study, course, work experience, etc. An issuer instance, representing the authority that awards credits or qualifications or tests learner participation in the described learning opportunities, including any associated results gained. At least one learning opportunity object, which depending on its function and level, may comprise any or all of the following information. A description of a learning opportunity or period of learning the learner currently or formerly enrolled in, and in case of successful completion, of the qualification achieved, including the actual result for the specific learner. A description of possible component units, each of which may contain provider, credit and result information for the specific learner. And optionally a set of additional information properties. The Euro-MAI model facilitates the compilation of different levels of achievement information reports, Europass diploma supplements, interim study reports, qualification achievement reports, transcripts of records, reports on courses taught at other institutions, etc. Some example recommended uses of Euro-MAI are discussed in continuation. This case represents achievement information about a learner who has enrolled in an official program of study and has completed part of the program offered by a single or multiple providers. Interim report. The learner has not yet obtained the corresponding qualification. The Euro-MAI instance for this case includes the descriptions of a learning opportunity at the program level, containing information on the program the learner has enrolled in, without including any result information, since the qualification has not yet been obtained by the learner. Learning opportunities as component units of the described program, transcript level, which the learner has taken and achieved specific credits and results. Where a unit of the program is offered by another institution, the corresponding learning opportunity must make reference to the provider that offered the unit, course, work experience, etc. To represent this, the learning opportunity instance of the component must contain the basic details of the other institution, such as the institution name. The figure of the slide provides an example structure of the Euro-MAI report for a learner that has completed 2 course units, both at the institution offering the program the learner has enrolled in. This case represents achievement information about a learner who has enrolled in an official program of study and has completed a specific period of learning, like a semester or year. A Euro-MAI report of this nature could be structured as follows. Including 3 levels of learning opportunities, the topmost representing the program of study, the next offering a grouping placeholder for the components units that relate to the specific period of learning, while the third comprising detailed information about each of the component units. Or including a learning opportunity at the top level, which represents the period of learning of the program of study, and at a second level, the associated component units. The figure of the slide illustrates a Euro-MAI report instance for a learner who has completed all the course units of a program year and has obtained an overall result and credit for this period of learning. Within the context of the European higher education area, higher education institutions need to issue achievement reports on qualifications adhering to the Europass diploma supplement information structure. The Europass diploma supplement is fully supported by the Euro-MAI model. The diploma supplement is issued for describing a qualification obtained by a specific learner upon successful completion of a program of study. The diploma supplement document records information of the learner and the document issuing body, as well as information about the program of study and obtained qualification. The figure of this slide illustrates an example diploma supplement structure for the case of a transcript including several periods of learning. The field of European learner mobility and the new European dimensions in learning, education and training require the development of interoperable information services for the facilitation of emerging practice, including the support of new mobility schemes, transnational programs of study, interinstitutional cooperation, exchanges between institutions and employers, advanced learner personal organization and development, e-portfolio tools and documents, etc. The EuroMAI model constitutes a solid basis for the design of common information structures that will serve interoperability requirements across the entire European learner mobility landscape. Hope this was interesting. Let's find out more in our next video how are standards developed.